Osaka Konnichiwa. She gives her opinion on the Taylor Townsend Jelena Ostapenko situation. And boy, did she offer some great insight. As always, this coverage is brought to you via the Doctrine of Fair Use, the Fair Dealing, and the Digital Millennium Act. But first, she would talk about her match with Haley Baptiste. She would say something I've been saying for many years, that Haley's one of those players that can make any shot from anywhere on the court. I'm telling you, I think she's right behind Ons Jabeur as one of the best shot makers in the world. Osaka would win 69% of her first serves and 80% of Haley's second serve. And Osaka, one of the most technical ball strikers on tour, would then talk about Jelena Ostapenko. Actually, let's talk about Thomas first. This relationship with Thomas, Osaka would say, at first, a bit intimidating because he's tall. I've met Thomas. I don't know, maybe he's about 6'4". But she would say he never smiles, and that scared her. But getting to know him, working with him daily, she realized he actually smiles all the time. But I do think Thomas is the type of coaching personality she needs. I think he's one of the greatest to ever do it. But Thomas is that militant type of discipline style that she needs. Remember, guys, I say it all the time. A few years ago when Iga won the U.S. Open, Thomas said, look, we are not tourists. We are not here to have fun. We're here to win championships. We are working. And I think Osaka needs that discipline in her life. And I think this is a great partnership. I think it's going to go well for Osaka. It started off great in Canada and possibly a clash with Coco that's going to be very, very amazing. Now, she would then discuss the Jelena Ostapenko Townsend situation, and I thought she provided great insight. First, she would talk about the net point. Now, she would say it's not a rule, okay? Now, we all know it's an unwritten rule. Most players apologize, some don't. But the reality is this, Osaka put it beautifully. She said, I would never let something like that affect me to the point to where I would need to confront my opponent after the match. Well said. Because the reality is simple. You can't change the outcome. You can't take the point back. You can't replay it. So you have to forget it and let it go. The fact that Jelena would lose 9 service games in a row, the fact that she would get blown out in the second set, and that was the only thing on her mind, it makes you think, not exactly. That was the only thing she could nitpick at and argue about. Osaka would also go on to talk about the comment made about class and education. Now, as she would state, as a black woman, African-American female in a predominantly white sport. And despite that, we all know the last 3 decades, when it comes to female tennis, going back the last 3 decades, the face of the sport has been a black woman. So to make a comment like that, I do think, and we're going to take a page from Sabalenka's book, I think it's an opportunity for Jelena to grow and improve and kind of expand upon her knowledge, right? Her ignorance, so to speak, because I don't think she realizes the impact a statement like that could have. Well, I think she certainly understands now with all the comments she said she's received on social media. But for one, Osaka said it best, she couldn't be further from those comments. She's highly intelligent. She's very intellectual. Her first or second word out of her mouth, you realize right away, she is very, very intelligent, very smart, beautiful person. Her philanthropy is unmatched. But I think Jelena's got to realize in this country, the most educated female demographic are black women. So Jelena doesn't realize that. But I will say, in all fairness, I've heard Jelena say that same comment to other players, non-black players. And the reality here is, I think that's her go-to because I think that's what she feels comfortable saying, right? I think, again, I've heard her say it to other players. She's comfortable saying it. That's her way of insulting people. So for Taylor, I wouldn't take that personal because I've heard Jelena say that to other players, and again, I think that's Yelena's way of insulting someone when she can't accept the fact that she lost fair and square. We've said it for a long time. I've covered the matches. Jelena appears to be just, I mean, I guess you can say a sore loser, right? I mean, the actions speak for themselves. She hasn't showed professionalism, class, or integrity in a lot of her big defeats, especially when it comes to slams and Master 1000 events. Now, Osaka would also touch upon the fact that this is a predominantly white sport, and that's probably the last thing you want to say to a black female. Now, I will reinforce as well the stereotypes that come with a statement like that. We have to realize that black women are the most educated group of females in this country right now. But we also have to realize as we go back to the older days that, even before Columbus, Africans and blacks were already here. Columbus didn't discover America. We were here thriving. But a lot of the early Africans that did come over, we have to understand they were contractors, they were educators, they were farmers, they were doctors, they were architects, they were engineers. And Trump actually recently said this, and pay attention to this. He said, blacks, African Americans, you guys don't get any credit for building this country, but the world needs to know you built this country. So you got to understand a lot of the Africans that came over here, they were skilled laborers. They were architects, doctors, engineers. Their knowledge was used to build this country. Go research all the inventions that blacks, helped propel this country forward with. There was a lot of contributions that no one talks about. So again, that comes from a system that doesn't want to teach that purposely, but I feel that blacks know this, but a lot of non-black races, they don't realize this and they don't understand it because they've been brainwashed. They've been taught lies, and that's what a supremacist type of system teaches. And I just feel, I don't want to say necessarily that that Jelena is ignorant of these things because I don't know her, but I do feel a comment like that, it's not professional and it's not acceptable. So she's got to do better there. And I think Osaka and Sabalenka are right. Especially what Sabalenka said. She will regret this. I think she feels sorry for this, but she also needs someone to talk to. The outburst that she has match over match is not normal. And she does need to let her expressions and her feelings out, but she doesn't know how to do it. But she's getting in her upper 20s. She'll be 30 soon. She's got to do better. And it's also tough having cameras in the world watch you growing up, as a young teenager. That's also tough as well, but it comes with the territory. So I don't think it's an excuse, right? So I just hope Jelena grows as a person. I hope she does better. But she's got to realize that, that could be perceived as a racial comment that a lot of people are offended by, and they will get offended by. Again, I don't think she's a racist. I don't think she meant it that way because I've heard her say it to a lot of other players, but she's got to do better. She's had so many instances with players after losing that it's going to get to the point where people are just going to ignore her and they're not going to shake her hands because it's not genuine. When Ostapenko loses, and I've said this and you guys have voted, she's got the worst handshake in defeat. But when she wins, it's different. She actually wants to shake your hand. So nonetheless, guys, I do think what Osaka said, I agree 100% with. I thought it was well spoken, well put, and another message for Jelena to read, to understand, and to hopefully improve and get better with as a person, because that's what it's all about. We're here on Earth, this journey to just learn to grow as people and humans and propel the human race forward. Because at the end of the day, it's not about race. It's about being a good person. It's good versus evil. And I'm going to end on that note, guys. Tennis in a minute. Osaka, well said. Sabalenka, well said. And we're going to talk about Coco next. Teary-eyed. Coco comes to tears in the post-match interview. Stay tuned.